Hey everybody, how you doing today? I hope y'all having a great day so far. Um, I've had a pretty good morning. Nothing really special, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, last couple days, we've been working on the new blocky terrain. Basically trying to get a terrain system that works well with mods and is not like super difficult to get looking good. And I think we finally hit the jackpot. So obviously there's still more work we can do. Like we actually need to make good stone and grass blocks as well as touch up the dirt. And there are a couple other things I left off. Like I forgot that I need to deform the hexagon normals when we deform these edges. So actually I think I can show it. Let's just select all these. Oh no, that won't work because they're not. That's not the mesh object. Okay, so if I select this and just add the tangent space visualizer. Oh well, of course it's green, so it's a little hard to see, but you can see that these normals here point straight outwards, even though this face is sloped. So for instance, when we slope this edge, this normal should now point perpendicular to this face. So that's something that I need to do. Also, I still haven't figured out the view blocking mesh. I think it's going to have to be that sort of complicated one that goes up in between all these hexagons, but I don't really feel like doing that right now, so I'm gonna put that off. And then the last thing is these model constraints. So like every type of terrain can have multiple different models, and I'd like to let you be able to choose that, okay, a certain model will only display if it's at the top layer or if it has no neighbors, for example. So we'd want to be able to implement some of those, but those three things are important but not essential for now. So I might, well, I'm definitely going to put them off for now, but we might do it at some later time. So let me just add this. Deform, normals, view blocking mesh, and then, okay, then I have this. Then of course we need to do other things. Like I think that the map edge is pretty much taken care of now, but we need to do the skybox and finish up these blocks. And then this grid renderer, that was mostly for the old system. That would show you very visibly where the edges of a hexagon are, but it might not be quite as needed for this one. And even if it is, it doesn't seem like it has to go in this beta, so I might put this off as well, but we'll see. But what I really want to do is there's been a part of the game that I've really been neglecting, and that's the lobby. Right now we don't even have a lobby, but creating or setting up one with an actual interface will really make it easier to test with 2 players and get rid of a lot of code that's just kind of like not used right now. So I think that's what we're going to be working on next, but before I do that, let's clean up some of this. So I can get rid of this submesh crater because we're not actually using that right now. And the block terrain data. Okay, so I'm gonna just delete that because it's not used. And so most of this, the rest of this is all good. And I can pretty much delete this whole terrain namespace because that was the old terrain. And this code is still hanging around in my sub version control. So it's not that big of a deal to delete it here if I ever need it again. we can grab it out of that. So I'm just going to delete this. Okay. Now let's just load up Unity, let it think about all these changes and make sure that there's not any errors to fix. Okay, so there was something. Oh yeah, so it's just using a namespace it doesn't need. Okay, we'll just do this. What this means is that the mono behavior had something named collider, but I want to override it because we don't want to use the old collider, which I thought that Unity had deprecated those a long time ago. So I'm surprised it's still hanging around anyway. Okay, so let's fix some of these warnings too before we move on. So this block, okay, well I just did that, so. Okay, so point lattice original and original corner is not used. Oh yeah, that was for testing, so we can get rid of that. Collider mesh creator, database is never used. And neither is the battle, okay. Probably I used to have that because the point lattice logic was in this class directly instead of moved outward. Or I guess exported. And then the model index decider, database and battles not used. Although it will be needed later when we have to choose a model. I think we can just add that in. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry if anybody was trying to chat with me yesterday. My chat window had frozen or something. So I didn't get anything. I think it's fixed now. But I'll make sure to test it every once in a while to see. I don't know. Sometimes Twitch is just a little unreliable like that. Alright, so let's just play one more time to make sure there's nothing weird going on and that the game is actually playable, and then I'll merge this blocky terrain branch into the main branch of the subversion control, and then we'll start on the lobby. But yeah, I don't notice anything weird. I always thought it was strange that it wouldn't let me jump up on that high block. I mean, that's some bug with the ability logic, but it's not that big of a deal right now. Okay, so it seems like everything is fine. So let me just close Unity and we'll open up subversion control. Okay, so I just want to commit. Let's just say finished basic blocky terrain. And really all I did in this commit was cleared out old terrain code and fixed, or I guess cleaned warnings. So we'll go ahead and commit this. And now I want to switch to the main branch. Where is it? Checkout. Yeah, switch checkout. Okay, so now I'm on the main branch, and now I'll go to merge. And I want to merge with the blocky terrain. Okay, so now what this did, it just pulled in all my changes from the blocky terrain branch into the main branch. So before we go any further, let me test Unity to make sure everything went smoothly. And again, I do apologize for my voice. My allergies have been bad lately. Apparently tomorrow there's going to be a big dust plume from the Sahara or something that's going to come and ruin the air quality, so definitely not looking forward to that. Okay, so everything looks good so far. Yeah, we definitely have the blocky terrain. Okay, so one other thing that seems to not happen is sometimes when you switch a branch, it doesn't delete folders that aren't used anymore. So let me see. I guess I could delete this prototype, but it doesn't really make any difference. So game logic. Okay, I did actually delete the terrain folder, so that's fine. Okay, so now what I want to do is create a new branch. Yeah, create branch. Let's just call this lobby. Well, I don't know. I guess we could just call it lobby, but I don't know. Let's call it first lobby. It's basically going to be the first pass of the lobby. And I'm going to do this in case, if we want to just go back to working on the play scene, I don't have to worry about having a broken lobby at the beginning, and we can just switch back to this main branch. Okay, so I created the branch, but I'm not switched to it yet, so I need to check out first lobby. I should probably clean up the branches because some of those are really old. Okay, so now we can, let's go and change whatever we want, and it will be separated from the main branch of the program. Let's reopen Visual Studio and Unity. That's not what I want to do. Okay, yeah, just looking while waiting. And we can make sure, yeah, see here it says first lobby on this branch. Now, Visual Studio seems to have a way that you can do this, like switch between them in editor, but I've tried that once and it seems to not actually switch branches in anything except Visual Studio, so I don't rely on it. Okay, so I think the first thing I'll do is I want to make a new scene, and we're actually going to start create with a title. Okay, I don't actually know if I need this stuff because there's going to be no models, so I guess we will need a camera. Okay, so I'm gonna create a UI element. Okay, so this first, I guess let's see what. Well, okay. The title screen, I'm just gonna make something really simple for now. It's gonna have a button to create a lobby, join a lobby, or exit the game. And then from there, I'll need to. Was that the way I want to do it? Actually, I know I had a flow chart, but okay, that's not gonna be. What was that program called? Like Dia or something? I don't know. It doesn't show up. Oh right, it was UMLlet. Okay. Okay, yeah, so this was a really big flow chart of how the lobby was supposed to work, but I think that things might have changed now, so I'm not sure if it's up to date because I made this like last year when I was making the initial flow for the lobby or the server. So let's just look through. So so it wants to reuse. Okay, this is what I was looking for. Title screen. So then you pick create or join. Okay, so create a game screen or join game screen. All right. So basically, yeah, this right now all of this is kind of combined in the lobby script. So we want to separate that out. Don't really. Yeah, we don't have to get the game phase anymore. That was something old, but. All right. Okay, so let me see. The title controller now, all it does is just immediately go to the create lobby controller, and this just immediately switches to. Oh no, it does do a little bit. It starts the server and then switches to the lobby. All right. Okay, let's start from the UI, I think. It's not showing up. Yeah, this all looks good. I'm not super experienced with the UI system in Unity, but just make it work. So expecting, I was expecting the new text to show up here somewhere. Oops. Change that to the actual aspect the game will be, final game will be in. Pretty soon I should think of what I actually want to call this game, so I won't have to rebrand everything. Why is it not showing up? Is it because there's no light? Oh, it was always there, it's just I couldn't see it. Okay, so let's move this to the middle. Right, this should be a lot bigger. Overflow. Okay, so I'm trying to set it so it's centered, but it looks like, oh, I don't have the alignment centered. Okay, that was the issue. Really hard to see the text. I guess because of the color. I'd actually rather have something besides the skybox, so probably the main camera. We'll just have it do solid color. I don't know, something off-white. I guess that doesn't really help in the scene, but okay. So shift, it's a pivot, but it's not. Okay, that's what I need to do. Alt to set position. So I guess now it would grow downward from the top. And the pivot, okay, yeah, so the anchors, this means that the X is in the center and the Y is at the top. And then the pivot is in the same spot, and that has to do with when you rotate, I think. Yeah, rotation. So let's see what happens when I do that. Oh, if I rotate around X, it's going to go backwards into the screen. Yeah, so that pivot is also at the top center. I'm just testing some of this stuff to make sure I understand. And now if we scale it, it also scales from the top center. So yeah, that's easy. Okay, so if I set this to like 128, oh, it goes upwards, so. It'd probably be better. Let's see. Let's just create a new canvas. And this will just be visible area. Okay, and this will be center. Okay, how come switching this affected the text? Because the text wasn't parented to it. Oh, but now it switched this all to center, so I don't know. What I want this to be is at the top of this. Okay, so now if I change this height to be, I don't know, 700. Yeah, so that it's not the top, but the rect transform goes around the sides like that. What if instead I just want something like this? Okay, so that did something weird. I'm just playing around with it at this point. Oh, I see. So now it's saying that it has no width. Even though I set the anchors to work like this. I thought it would stretch. Oh, I probably had to set the stretch. Okay, so now it's going like that, except... Oh, this is Y, sorry. So this, if I change this to 0.9, okay, so this is more what I was expecting. It fills up just the inner 80% of the screen. And then if I set this to be at the top, it's still... That's weird because now this does have a dimension. I can't see the text. Let me... I don't know why the text doesn't show up in the editor. Is the chat... I should test the chat again. I can see it from my little window. I don't know. I'm scared now that you guys are trying to talk to me, but I can't see anything yet. Trying to get another chat window open, but not showing up. Okay, well, hopefully it's working. Anyway, so let's... Why is... So now I can't even see the text when I'm in play mode. It's off screen, obviously. I just don't know why it's not visible in the editor. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, hey Ice Boy, I did see that chat. So good, I'm glad it's working. How are you doing today? It's just using a default material, so it's not a render issue. Well, I could see it in the game earlier when it was positioned better. Let's just create another text object. So that shows up. Oh, it's not parented right though. Okay, so it's supposed to be in the center of this visible area, but it's not. Let's barely see it. Why is the text? Oh, do I have UI turned off? That might be it. Because then, yeah, before UI was difficult to see. It'd be here, wouldn't it? Yeah, UI is invisible. Okay. Forgot about that. Okay, so is it scaled backwards? Like it's... Okay, so that might be why it's invisible, because it's... Testing 3, 2, 1. Yeah, my chat window, keep getting scared. Yesterday, again, it didn't work, so I keep on testing it to make sure that everything's okay. But glad to hear you're doing good. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good too, just trying to figure out Unity's UI system. Okay, so it should be up in this top corner, the text, but obviously it doesn't show in the game. I think because it's invisible, or it's mirrored. If I did this, is it visible now? Oh, well, now it's a weird color. Okay, well, it's backwards. Maybe I'm just looking at it from the wrong way, but it says it's in the front, so... what is... I don't know why it's mirrored in the editor, but it's okay on the game screen. Did I do this? I don't think I did this wrong, because the minimum, yeah, it's a smaller number. Oh, it's flipped there. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter a whole lot, but the real question is... Yeah, the real question is, how come when I set this position, it's not centered? Oh, maybe it's because this wasn't 0. No. Okay. Because so it's setting it at the origin of this, even though I've told this width, like it shows the dimensions here. So how come when I tell this to be centered in the middle, it doesn't actually do it? Okay, so let's see what's 0, 0. Doesn't do anything. It was the pivot what was messing it up. Well, the pivot is doesn't it say where the center is for myself? Like if I rotated now. Yeah, for some reason it's saying that is 0, 0. Okay, well, that's definitely not the center of the text, so... Okay, so maybe the width and the height is what's messing everything up. Let me see. Isn't there... I think there's a way to have the UI automatically update the width and height to be the same size as the text. That's cool that that's there, but that's not what I wanted to do. Hmm. Unity UI automatically updates dimensions for text. Okay, so let's see. Fit to the side of the text. In order to make a rectangle transform with a text component on it, fit the text content at a content size fitter. Okay, so I was forgetting something. Okay, so I want both of these to fit the preferred size. Now if I... It still doesn't align. Oh, well, that's like for the paragraph. So maybe if I set this to 1/2. Okay, so now my pivot is in the center of the text. So do I still need this? Oh, well, it would... Okay, well, it's fine. Whatever, matter. Oh, hey, Zaka Television. Thanks for hosting me. How you doing today? I'm working on some interface stuff, trying to figure out Unity's system for any new viewers. Okay, so I definitely want it to, I guess, to be the top because I don't want it to go outside of this visible area. Okay, how come? Okay, so the anchors are set to 0, 0, but that should be... That doesn't help still. I set this to 0. Okay, so now that's my center. But I actually want it to be in the middle of the parent. That doesn't do anything. I don't understand. Okay, so blueprint mode, edit rect transform as if they were not rotated or scaled. This enables snapping. Raw edit mode when enabled, editing. It's hard to see. Editing pivot and anchor values will not counter adjust the position and size of the rectangle in order to make it stay in place. I guess that's kind of what I want right now, but... Okay, so I thought that the anchors... Okay, so obviously I'm not understanding something. Fit to size of the unit element with child text. The elements are automatically resized to fit their content. You should pay extra attention to the pivot. The pivot will stay in place when the element is resized, so by setting the pivot position you can control in which direction the element will expand or shrink. For example, if the pivot is a center, the element will expand equally in all directions. That's what I want it to work. How I want it to work. Okay. Resizing versus scaling when a rect tool is used to change size of an object. Blah blah blah. Pivot. Include the concept called anchors. Anchors are shown as 4 small rectangular triangles in the scene. Anchor information is also shown in the inspector. If the parent of a rect transform is also a rect transform, the child rect transform can be anchored to the parent rect transform in various ways. For example, the child can be anchored to the center of the parent or to one of the corners. The UI element anchored to the center of the parent. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do, but it doesn't seem to be working. Stretch, blah, blah, blah. The positions of the anchors are defined in fractions of the parent rectangle with width and height. So left, bottom. Okay, yeah, I know that. Anchors are not limited to the sides and middle. They can be anchored to any place. You can drag each of the anchors individually, or if they are together, you can drag them together by clicking the middle in between them and dragging. If you hold down Shift while dragging an anchor, the corresponding corner of the rectangle will move together. Okay, so doesn't let me move these though. Okay, it does let me move that, but I don't want to. I just want this to be centered. I'm centered in the parent. So you'd think by having my anchor in the middle, it would do that. What? Let's just keep reading, I guess. In the inspector, an anchor preset button can be found. Clicking the button brings up anchor preset drop down. From here, you can quickly select from some of the most common anchoring options. Anchor the UI element to the sides or the middle of a parent, or stretch together with a parent size. Yeah, so I thought I understood this, but vertical anchoring is independent. Anchor preset buttons display currently selected preset option if there is one. If the anchors are on either the horizontal or vertical axis are different positions than any other presets, the custom option is shown. Anchor min corresponds to the lower left anchor handle. Anchor max upper right. The position fields of the rectangle are shown differently depending on whether the anchors are together, which produces a fixed width and height, or separated, which causes the rectangle to stretch. When all the anchor handles are together, the fields are displayed. Fields displayed are position X and Y, width and height. Position X and Y values indicate the position of the pivot relative to the anchors. So yeah, that makes sense. When the anchors are separated, the fields can change partially or completely. These fields define the padding inside the rectangle defined by the anchors. The left and right fields are used if the anchors are separated horizontally, and the top and bottom fields are used if they're separated vertically. Changing the values in anchor or pivot fields will automatically counter adjust. Yeah, that's why we had raw edit mode. So that's how I thought it worked. So I thought that setting half, half, half like this would move the anchors into the middle of this visible area. This seems to work. So if I change the canvas, let's move by the screen space. So if I change this to be, I don't know, 2000, then this visible area should update, and it does. But the text, well, it actually didn't move at all, did it? So is it not parented correctly or something? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. So now it's set to the center. And if I move it here, still set there. So it does update the, it updates this position and stuff. I want it to be, okay, so this is supposed to be the center. Okay, so maybe I'm misunderstanding. Well, obviously something. But when I do this, okay, it doesn't change the anchor. The anchor displays here. So okay. I didn't really want to actually get to some scripting for the, I want to get to the lobby stuff, not just mess around with anchors all day, but I'm not. I don't understand why this isn't working. Because it obviously has a width and height. And setting these values worked how I thought. But even when I change this, this text does not update. It just changes the position. Or does it even? Like it doesn't even. Okay. Okay, it's like it's not getting, it's not parenting to this transform, and I don't understand why. Maybe just reloading. Maybe, is this causing an issue? So when I move this around, it does change the height, but like it's changing the anchor values, but you don't see anything different. That's because I think it still thinks its parent has 0 dimension for some reason, even though here it obviously doesn't. What happens if I change this? Okay, so it inherits the scale. Let me see. I do have one other time I use the rectangles or this interface or UI. Another example of the interface is what I was trying to say. Yeah, and I just have a rect transform. It doesn't have any other scripts, although maybe I'm having the same issue. Okay, so scroll bar set to. Okay, so this is supposed to be bottom right. Oh yeah, and that's correct. And then it's parented to this thing. Is it because I don't have a canvas renderer on it? But image. Alright, let's see. I thought I could just have this visible area as just kind of like to help me position things. Nope, it's still stuck. But this obviously has dimensions I don't understand. forget what the material is for these images. Oh, it just has none. Okay, it was there, I just couldn't see it. Okay, so I think the issue has something to do with this object now, because now this image isn't even showing up. Game object, create image. So that's right there, but for some reason it doesn't show up here. So what is the difference? Oh, is it because it's not on the UI layer? Oh, that's probably why the image wasn't showing up. Maybe not. Okay, let's see. 0.9. Okay, so why is it because it's... No. Okay, so I have this, but it's not stretching. So why can't I set this 0.1, 0.9, 0.1, 0.9? For some reason it doesn't like me doing this. That makes no sense. Okay, so that was what was messed up there. Pivot makes no difference, I don't think. Okay, so this should be exactly the same except... Okay, so for some reason this right... Is that what was wrong? Now it's... Okay, so this is like from the bottom edge maybe? Maybe that was it. Okay, that was the whole issue. Okay, so I was misreading these values. This is not the position of the right and bottom edges. This is the distance from the right and bottom edges, I think. So let's see if I put 32. Yeah, so it moves inward. Okay. So it really did have 0 dimensions, I guess. Okay. Well, that is a little confusing, but I guess gotta learn it somehow. Okay, well I don't really want this visible area to have an image because this is just like an anchor for the text. So let's get, I think I'll, well I guess while I already have the image, we'll just duplicate it. Okay, and here, unlike most things in Unity, the order that you place these actually matters, because if you place it below another object, it will be drawn afterwards. So, okay, so let's set this to be just slightly bigger, I guess. Let's put 16 pixels. Okay, yeah, so now if I put a negative value, that's outside the bounds. Okay, so I think I understand it now. It's that doesn't matter. I have it centered, so the text should be centered, and I think it is. Let me see. Let's put it. I want this to be from the top. Oops. And just move it down a bit. Okay, well, it doesn't really have to be perfect. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that, but at least we figured out how it works, and let's move on. So I just need to create a couple buttons. And they don't have to be very pretty. We'll have one, I guess, create game. I guess I should name these. Sometimes I get in the bad habit of just creating objects but not actually naming them. So this will be create game button. I'm trying to rename it. There we go. Join game button. There is a way that you can make like a container that will lay these buttons out. Why don't we go ahead and try and do that? Scroll view. Oh no, that's like an image. Input field, slider toggle button. Okay. Let's just create. Let's start with an image. But I want this to be a layout actually, so remove, remove. Okay, so now when I parent these, that's not supposed to go like that. Yeah, sometimes it's a little difficult to rename. Oh, but you saw when I did that these switch places. Okay, so this will be button area. So yeah, I want it to be centered, I guess. And I just want it to fit the preferred size of the button so that it would center correctly. Okay, so now I'll just, yeah, I want this to be in the middle. I'll just move it up. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. Okay, so now I'll just create a third button for exit. Okay, so yeah, I can pick the height here, and then I'll try to squish all the buttons into the height. But I don't really care, I'll just match the height to however many buttons I have. I guess, yeah, so now it's centered with the number of buttons, so that's kind of nice actually. And then I can have some padding. Oh, that's padding on the whole thing actually. Yeah, spacing is more what I want. Okay. Oh no, it worked fine. Why did it stop working? I shouldn't have messed with that. Parent has a type of layout group component. A child of a layout group should not have a content size fitter component since it should be driven by the layout group. Okay, that makes sense. So actually, okay, so what I need to do is, yeah, we just can't. I should just set the width here. Let's just do 128. Oh no, I've messed everything up. Oh, okay, so I just need to have this stretch, I think. So what is going on? Shouldn't this just go automatically? Oh, maybe I just need to play the game and it'll update. No. Can't click it though. Why? It seems like this button area should force expand, I would think would. Okay. Child control size. That sets it. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Because it seems like for me, if I said child control size, then the child would control my width. But it actually brings the width that I set here to the child. Well, whatever works, I guess. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So if I play, I should be able to click all these buttons. Oh, I need to change the text there. Okay, so okay, so I have this on click, and I can add. I just need to add an event listener. Okay, so I guess now we're ready to actually get into the scripts. So I have this game link loader, which is what actually loads everything. And a long time ago, I set it up so that I could have different load modes. So that if I press play from within the play scene, it would automatically load into the play scene. I'm not sure if I'll still support that. I don't know, we'll see. But just in case, I'll just make title. So theoretically, if I wanted this to happen, I would just, since like this title controller say that I'm loading, I want to load automatically into the play scene, so it would like do like a testing lobby mode where it would just automatically set stuff and connect to the server and everything. But I don't know if I want to deal with that. But like, I guess I just won't get rid of the possibility. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just create title controller. And so right now, if I do that, the title controller will just immediately switch to the lobby, which I don't want to happen anymore. Unless we have in that testing mode. So let's see. If I wanted to support, what I should really do, if I wanted to just have that automatically testing mode, I should just have like an auto lobby controller or something. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll just have a different class entirely. So this is set up. So yeah, now if I press play, it will load into the title screen and then try to load the game up as normal. Except there will be errors because I'm not in the play scene, so yeah. Reference not set to an instance, server register handler. Okay, that's kind of weird. Oh, because I don't have the network thing. Okay, I don't really need it. Actually, I think I do. I was gonna say I don't need it at this point, but I think that the game expects the server to always be there. Even if we're not starting it right now. Let me see. Yeah, so once the server... Where is that? Yeah, this network. So yeah, it just needs this network manager to always be here. Yeah, and in this instance, it's not equal null, then we just destroy it because there's been a duplicate. I don't know if there's a better way to handle that. But regardless, we need it in here. Probably what I should actually do is just have this loader try to load up the network if it doesn't exist already. Maybe I'll do that. So I should move this network to the resources folder, and then we could just load it as needed. So delete. What's my motivation to make my games? I don't know, I've just always liked making them. Even when I was a kid, before I knew how to program, I would like design. I didn't really think of it at the time, but I would try to like make designs for games and like little paper books that I would staple together, where I would draw like levels and things like that. Funnily enough, I didn't really realize that I liked game design until I was almost done with college. Because for a long time I thought I was just gonna do programming. But I think that the reason I like it is just because I can like see things in my head come to life. I don't know, this is fun for me, I think. Okay, so... Okay, maybe the game should just take care of it. So if game link... Or what? It's Unity link. It's kind of a weird name. Networking, Unity link. Okay, there it goes. I was thinking I was trying to do the Unity version of it. Oh, no problem, Iceboy. I'm glad that helps you. Is it kind of the same for you? Let me see. I'm trying to find the instance. Yes, so that's the... Oh, okay. I don't have that. I don't... It's not public anyway. Let's see. Let's just make a... Yeah, it's private. So... Public static bool is loaded. Oh, wait. Let's just do this. Load. If instance is null, resources... Okay, so Unity engine, resources, load. game object. Network. Well, now I don't need to return anything. Yeah, this is actually not a good idea because there's some weird things that can happen when Unity is like unloading, that it'll destroy this instance, but then something else might reference it, so it'll try to load it again, and then you'll get like a memory leak. So if you ever do something like this, you want to have a Boolean loaded flag. So instead of checking if this is null, we would see if loaded is false, then we'll just load this object, and that will automatically call the awake function. Which I guess I can just do instance equals get component unity link. And now I should also set loaded to true, obviously. I almost forgot to do that. Which defeats the whole purpose. So now I don't need to do this. If there's ever a duplicate, then we should just... Oh, well, no, this won't work. Okay, we'll just have to make sure there shouldn't ever be a duplicate, because that would cause issues. Okay, so now we'll just call load. Okay, and this game link also, yeah, so if we call load, it won't create another instance, so that's fine. I think that's all good to go. And so if I go and play now, I can just destroy this class. There we go. Okay, the only other thing that could happen is now that it loads, it might take a frame to update. So yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Okay, so reference not set to an instance. So it's just trying to register things when it's instantiating, but oh yeah, that's okay. So it's because oh yeah, I do all this stuff in the controller. Really, we should wait until the next frame, probably. Or well, all it's really trying to do is just grab these, so I could just have, instead of this being on awake, I could just call instance setup. And I think that would work. So as long as things just are trying to register these server handlers, nothing should happen. Let me see. Yeah, it just sets the instance, and then if the client is not equal null, then it also would unregister the handler on the actual network client. But yeah, in the very first frame, we wouldn't have loaded into one, so I don't think that will cause any issues. Otherwise, I'll have to go and wait until the game link has, like, one frame has passed. Which will be a bit annoying, but hopefully we won't have to go to that. Okay, good. So now there's no issues. I think I'm gonna bring over this debug class into the title so I can see what's going on. Okay. Although I guess by this point, yeah, there's no connections or clients, and none of this stuff would have been created yet either. All right, so let me see. Back to the title controller. Is this the right thing? Yeah. Oh yeah, so setup is when it would instantiate all the classes, so... Okay. Now the title screen is really simple right now, but I guess in case I ever add something to it, we can just have the normal flow set up. Flow manager. Okay, and this will be oh wait, not I, so flow logic container, and again this is just so we can use the event system. That's not what I wanted to do actually. Okay, and I guess I'll have, I don't know, a state class. So it's going to be kind of like how all the different flows in the play scene were. Oh. Okay, so this should just be the title phase, and really, I think we just have, like right now we're just gonna have an input phase. I guess later we might have like an introduction or something. But I'll be happy with just this for now. I really need to get those. Okay, and then the flow manager here, I'm just gonna steal. This is actually pretty bad. So if state dot phase is not equal phase, yeah, we need to make sure that we only throw this event if there's actually a change. Okay, and then we'll have a reference to the state variable. And now in the title controller, I can just get the context, resolve, find state, if I can spell it, and then initialize the flow manager, and it will just have the flow control priority. I don't... Okay, so usually how I do this is I'd say if state is 0, then we would set it to the first state, but actually I think I'd rather just use events for that. So we'll need override here. If state phase is 0, then we'd advance to input. So let's just see if that event fires. Okay, yeah, so event fired immediate, title phase from none to input. So now I need to have these buttons fire an event when I click on them. So I guess it just depends how I want to do it. I think I'm just going to go kind of the simple way and just have every button have a specific event that it fires. Let's just add a new event class or event file here. It doesn't need to be public. I don't think. Class, create game event. Or let's see, create game button pressed event. Oh wait, do I even want to have? Yeah, so let's just pretend that there's no buttons. This won't even be a button pressed event. This will just be like a command. And when this fires, then we know that we want to create a game. And then class. Join game command. And class exit command. Okay, so I don't even know if I need any other classes to deal with that. Let's just say events. Oh wait, no. Tickables, add new event exists listener and okay, so create game command. So on create game, and then we'll have join and exit. Oh. Okay, the good thing about this is that we're not online yet, so I don't have to worry about if we get disconnected. I also don't have to worry about errors because they can't happen at this point. So this is going to be a pretty simple flow control. Okay, so on exit, we would just call application. I think this is it. Close, what is it? Quit. So this would just close the game. I don't think anything happens in the Unity editor. But that's okay. And then we do something here, which doesn't really matter at this point. Okay, so now I need to have some way to create or fire these events when a button is pressed. Okay, so let's see. Let's make another folder just to think ahead. This will be for interface classes. Okay, so I guess button, click, listener. And this will be a mono behavior just because it has to. Yeah, this will be fine. So, yeah, in order to get it to work with the event system, we'll have to have something else going along with it. So class button, click. Oh. Okay. Scared my computer was crashing, but I think we're okay. Logic. And then this would just be a flow logic controller. our container. The reason I like this to do it this way because the mono behavior you can't instantiate normally with a constructor. So it's kind of a pain to get the event queue into this listener. So what I would do instead is this one is just when this when this class is created, it would get a reference to this by just finding it in the scene and then give it the event queue or something like that. Anyways, so we'll have the button listener. It doesn't really need to be part of the canvas, so okay, so button, too many T's there. Alright, and what I can do now is create game button, add something here. Okay, so I would just... Okay, it doesn't have a function, so I need to give it one. Okay, so let me see. Trying to think, do I want to have different functions or just one function that accepts like an enumeration? Either way would be fine. Probably the enumeration would be simpler because then I can do some magic, but we'll see. Yes, let's do public enum button. So we'll have create, join, exit, and public void button pressed. Okay, and that will do something, but first let's set up here in Unity. I think it's got to compile first. Okay, finally done. Button click listener. Can it not take an enumeration as an argument? That's kind of annoying. Is that true, really? I guess I could still use a string. Okay, let's just change this to string and see if it shows up. That's gonna annoy me. Okay, I'll wait until it's finished compiling again. In functionally, a string and an enumeration is not that different, except... Okay, so yeah, so it doesn't take an enumeration. Okay. It's just we gotta make sure we don't do typos now, so it's gonna be more testing. But... there's too many things there. There's other ways you could do this too. Like I could, instead of doing this, like routing the event to the system, I could instead have the button listener get a reference to each of these buttons and then add a callback to this on-click event. Then I could use the enumeration way, but actually I might do that because that might be simpler. Because what I was going to do here is have an array of events to fire. But if I'm using strings, I can't do that, so I'd have to do a switch. Okay, so let's see. Public. Let's keep the enumeration. class button. I can't do that. So button, let's just rename this to button type. Oh. It's not how you spell button. I guess let's be good and rename this as well. So this will be button info. And then I'll just attach a button type to it. Okay, so I'll have all this, and then on start, for each. Oh, I don't. So serialized field, private, button info, buttons. So then button dot on. Oh, button on click. Okay, so then we add something to this, and I don't really have to worry about destroying it because when we exit the scene, this button will also be destroyed. So I don't have to worry about unregistering. So button pressed. Oh, so what I should do. Okay, so I'm gonna use a lambda expression, which just means on click. Oh. Okay, so I must use. Oh, so this isn't actually. Oh, it's not a normal event. Oh, I thought that you could do it. They don't just have a normal C# event, it seems like. Okay, so how... Let me see. Okay, so maybe we are stuck. Unity on button clicked. Event. Oh, I can't just do an add listener. Okay, so it just works a little different. Okay, what's it not like? Oh yeah, I changed this to a string. Okay. So let's just debug log the button type for now and see if it shows up down here. Okay, so I guess I'll get rid of all these. Got a null reference. Oh, because I forgot to set this as serializable. Oh, yeah, so I gotta actually give it the values in here. So there will be 3 buttons. Okay, but something else. Okay, well, it's saying these buttons is null, but it doesn't make any sense because... Oh, maybe it's because Unity couldn't serialize it before. Okay, so yeah, create, join, and exit. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do here is just have private list events. Okay, so this works because the events are simple and they don't have any arguments, so I can just kind of set one instance to the event and then just use it whenever needed. So I'm going to use safe set. Oops, so I can spell it right. So it doesn't matter what order I set these in. We could just use a dictionary too. That's probably better. We'll just have a reference to this instance. And join and exit. Okay, so now what I do is, well, I have to get a reference to the either listener logic. Actually, yeah, let's move this in here. Okay. What's it not like? Oh, because it's not. No, it is public. Not implicitly convert type event to. Oh, right. Okay, so this would be. I guess I'll just call it the event map instead of the events. Because I forgot the events is the name of the event queue. We'll have public void on button pressed. And then events queue event map button. So then we'll just fire that event when button's pressed. So okay, now I need to get a reference to the button click listener logic. Why is it not like this? Inconsistent. Ugh. Okay, fine. Internal. Then we just pass that along. Okay, so here I would set, well, first I need to find a reference to this private button click listener. Game object dot find object of type. Okay, and then let's, oh gosh, I can spell it again. Dot logic equals this, and then I just need to override that when this is disposed. If listener, yeah, we have to make sure it's not null because the listener could have already been disposed. So if it's not null, then I just need to remove the reference to myself. So this is kind of a roundabout way, but it's just because in order to get this UI stuff from Unity, I have to have a mono behavior. But it's a pain to get the correct event queue to a mono behavior because I can't call a constructor. So I just kind of use these two classes that are kind of intertwined. I think it will work out okay. Oh, yeah, I don't need a timer here. That's for timeouts, but there's not going to be a timeout during the title for sure. Oh, okay, so that's the null reference because I don't think the logic had been created, so I need to do that here. So initialize x, click listener logic. Okay, so when I create a game, yeah, then it queues the create game command. Then the flow manager reacts to its presence, but oh, this is one weird thing. Okay. Okay, so that's another thing I forgot about. And another reason to keep this a little separate. The button events, I'm not sure when they're fired in relationship to the tick for the game logic. And one very important thing about this event queue is that you should only add events to it during the tick phase so that, well, because otherwise some objects might never receive an event. So what I actually should do is when I get this button, I shouldn't queue the event immediately. Or... oh wait, no, actually that I think this is okay because what queue does is it adds it to this delayed list, and then on the beginning of the next frame, it places all the events onto the actual queue for things to listen to. Well, let's see, what would happen? Okay, so what's happening here, I think, is that the event, since this happened on the same frame, the click event gets called before the game logic tick. And so it gets placed onto the delayed queue and then added at the beginning of the tick, which is fine. But what would happen if it got queued after the game logic tick? I think it would still just get added to the delayed list and then put onto the queue at the beginning of the next tick. Let me see though. So this is when the event queue moves things from delayed to the actual queue. So yeah, even if, say for example, I don't know, if I had UI buttons tick right here, which I don't really know when Unity calls this, but if this happened afterwards, then it would still be okay because as long as I don't use queue immediate, then there's no way something can be lost. So I think I'm still safe. Yeah, and so I was gonna have another list of events to fire later, like on a tick function, but there's no really reason to do that because the queue kind of has that built in. I realized thinking about it. So I think everything is safe. Okay, so one thing I wanted to try is what happens when I press this exit in the application or in the editor. Yeah, nothing. But I think if I was actually playing the game, it would close the window when I press that button, which is what I want to happen, so. I was just curious. But yeah, so we get create command, join command, and exit command, so everything is good. Okay, so the flow manager, now it just needs to communicate to the title controller that it should move to the next phase. And I can do it with an event, or I can do it with a phase. Probably, so I guess what I should do is have an exit phase here. But then that's just kind of to clean up anything. But then also have a couple events here. So let's see, exit to create. Oh, I forgot the class keyword. All right, so advance the state and then events queue exit to create. And then the title controller would listen to those events. This is the tickable list here, isn't there? Oh no, not really. Okay, so disposables, add new. Where's the tick list? Okay, so this is the game. Maybe I should have a function for this. Protected, void, add, tickable. And then I'll just basically do this. I guess I need to pass the priority as well. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, this is adding the object to disposables and then adding tickable list. So yeah, that's fine. And then so I can use this enumeration. I think I want to also have add tickable function. Okay, so that way I can just use this enumeration without having to convert it to an integer. Okay. So now I can just have a new event exists listener, flow manager dot exit to create. Don't I have a reference to the events? I guess I just gotta get it from the game. Event queue. And then on Exit to create. Okay, so I guess now I need to decide how I want to do this. Right now I don't... Do I have a create? I think it's part of the lobby phase. Or the lobby namespace, they have this create lobby controller. But I probably should move it into its own. I know in the chess game when I did something similar, I made the mistake of creating a whole different phase for creating and joining. But they actually turn out to have basically the same flow, except when you try to join, you just create a client instead of becoming the host. And then you also have to give a password to try to connect. So again, I think I'll have some new things. So let's say, I guess this will just be a setup lobby because that's kind of what we're trying to do. Let's also rename this. Okay. So yeah, so right now we pass Boolean for create mode, which I guess we'll still do, but it's going to be a little different. I think I'll go ahead and comment this out so it doesn't run. And so we'll just have, oh, what's it not like about this? Oh, I don't have the ticking priority. So game dot base container equals new setup lobby game true. And then this will just be false. And let's see what. I think that's about it. Do I have to call dispose, or does it call, or does it dispose? Yeah, it disposes automatically, so I don't have to do that. Alright, so let's see. I guess, oops. Let's just have a print log here to see that setup is actually being called. Bug log setup lobby entered. Oh, I should probably add create mode. Okay, this will be fine. Oh, look at the text. Alright, so if I press, press create, then it should setup lobby entered create true. So that's what I want. Now if I press this, nothing else will happen because we've actually exited the phase, so we'd want to switch away from this scene as well. Probably what I should do is, just to prevent any bugs like that from happening, is just make sure that if logic does not equal null, we'll call that. So now I want to try it one more time by, but this time pressing the join game button. And we'll see, make sure that that works okay too. If it ever finishes compiling. Okay, so something doesn't work. It queued the exit to join, but it doesn't actually follow through. Probably... Yeah, I had 2 listeners here, so this should be exit to join. Okay, so now create is set to false. Okay. I think that's probably a good place to stop. I feel like we made pretty good progress. Unfortunately, I got stuck for so long trying to figure out how the Unity interface worked, but I think it's okay now. So I guess tomorrow we'll work some more on the setup lobby controller, which is going to be kind of still similar to this, just another panel with buttons, but we'll actually have some input fields because we have to pass in the host, the port, and I think that's all for create. But then for joining, we'll have to have the host, port, and a password. And the joining will actually be a little bit more complicated because if you're not joined, like if you can't connect to the lobby, you gotta stay in this, in the, sorry, the join screen, and then you'll have to try to reconnect. Whereas if you're just creating a lobby, then unless for some reason you can't create a server, then you just go straight to the lobby screen. But yeah, the lobby screen is where the fun is, because there we have to figure out how to set the player slots, load information about the mods, and communicate different choices between players. So yeah, there'll be a lot of stuff. It's actually a lot more complicated than it sounds at first thought. But thankfully I already have experience on how to do it from the chess game, so hopefully it won't take super long. But anyway, I think I better go call it for now and get a bite to eat, and then come back and do some offline work or whatever. But thanks everybody for coming by and watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll be live tomorrow at about noon Eastern, and we'll continue with this lobby. Feel free to follow me here on Twitch if you want to be notified when I go live. I also have a Twitter where I tweet when I go live, and a YouTube channel where I post old videos if you'd like to check how the game used to look or just watch anything you might have missed. I also have a Discord server where you can chat with me throughout the day. It'd be great to have you there. But I'll put links in chat and also in my video description if you are watching from YouTube. But yeah, I guess that's it. Again, thanks everybody for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.